Here we go. It's the first Sunday that matters. The NFL on CBS is back.
Gus Bradley, the rookie head coach of Jacksonville, told us Friday was hoping for it to be hot. He's got his wish. 94 degrees at kickoff. It's the hottest recorded temperature in the history of this stadium in Jacksonville, as we are just about ready. Andy Reid, 14 years in Philadelphia, now ready to write the newest chapter of his illustrious coaching career, and his counterpart, the aforementioned Gus Bradley. 4 years as Seattle's defensive coordinator, and just 7 short years after entering the NFL as an assistant coach. He's got his head job, and here he is in Jacksonville, set to take on Kansas City. Ryan Succop on to kick. Stephen Burton standing, watches it sail through the back of the end zone, as Jacksonville and Blaine Gabbert, still just 23 years of age, ready to open his 3rd season in the NFL, taking the field here. It was a question mark all week. They didn't know, guys, if he was going to be able to play today, just over 3 weeks removed from that fractured bone at the base of his right thumb. He will line up under center on 1st and 10 from their own 20. Man in motion for tight end Clay Harbor. Here's Gabbert. Completes. That's the tight end Harbor, the 4th-year man from Missouri State. Claimed off waivers from Philadelphia a week ago today. And guys, this is the kind of offense that we were expecting. Hurry up, no huddle here at the start. They go for 5 on 1st down. Here's Gabbert, quick little flare screen pass near side. It's caught. That's the rookie Ace Sanders out of South Carolina. Tackle made by the cornerback Brandon Flowers.
Well, as you can see right away, too, Spiro, one of the things that Blaine Gabbert and Jed Fish, offensive coordinator, told us that they're emphasizing completions. Short completions, get the ball out of Blaine Gabbert's hands. They do not want him holding the ball back there and being one of the biggest sack takers in the NFL like he has been in the past.
You saw Jed Fish on the sidelines, and a lot of substituting. Even though the Jacksonville Jaguars came out no huddle, they did still substitute, and the Chiefs were able to match them.
This is 3rd and 5. Jordan Todman into the game, the 1st-year player out of Connecticut. Gabbert has time to throw, tucks it away himself, and he will be tripped up about a yard or 2 short. Ball comes loose, say the officials. Kansas City signaling that they've got it. And now they say Kansas City football.
Oh, that looked to me, both Steve and I thought, we thought he was down. Yeah, and Gabbert thinks he was down. I thought the ground caused that ball to pop loose.
He hit the ground with the ball in his hand, and the ball popped out on impact, I believe.
Yeah, and the crowd just got to look at the replay you're about to see, and they agree with us. Watch this guy. He's going to jump over the tackler, and then, yeah, his knee is down. That ball comes out very late. His knee's down, and then the ball comes out. There's no question about it. And I think the officials, you know, it's the opener for them as well. They want to get this right, and even if it means having to let a good play go and then coming back and correcting it later, they get a chance to at least look at it twice and get it correct.
If there ever was a clear answer for us, that was the example right there, though, for sure.
Officials will take another look at it. Early moments in Jacksonville, scoreless on CBS. Official review to try to determine whether or not Gabbert fumbled before he hit the turf.
After reviewing the play, the quarterback's knee was down. It is not a fumble. It's 4th down. Please set the game clock to 13:46.
And not only was it his left knee, but it was also his left elbow hit the ground with the ball in possession. But I'm curious, interesting, he's carrying the ball in his left arm there. Yeah. I wonder if that has to do with that right thumb.
Yeah, you may think it's better, but neither hand is safe if you're running with the football. You're going to get hit from all sides.
Brian Anger on to punt. Dexter McCluster from just inside his own 20. McCluster trying to cut back, and he is tackled at about the 22-yard line. A 54-yard punt by Anger, and a return of only 3. Josh Evans on the tackle. And here comes Alex Smith. Speaking of new starts, new chapters, 8 roller coaster seasons in San Francisco finally coming to an end, and here he is now beginning anew alongside Andy Reid leading Kansas City. Now this is a moment he has been thinking about since February. First and 10 from the 22. Smith play action, airing it out. He's got his man. It's incomplete. Right through the hands of the tight end, Anthony Fasano, the free agent signee from Miami.
Well, you love the aggressive play call coming right out of the box, and I think that Anthony Fasano would love to have another shot at that ball. Alex Smith delivered a pretty darn good throw right there.
Yeah, Fasano's got to pull that in. They had exactly what they wanted. There are two rookies in the secondary for Jacksonville. You can bet that Kansas City knows exactly where they are on every play.
Kansas City, the NFL's lowest scoring offense a year ago at just over 13 points per game. Minimal gain on first down, on second down rather, for Jamal Charles as we take a look at the starters for Kansas City.
And then you see on the far right, that's Eric Fisher, the #1 pick overall in the draft. He's a big, sturdy right tackle. He's going to play for a long time. And of course, Jamal Charles, everything hinges on him and his playmaking ability. His big runs come when he gets to the edges of the defense. Look for Jacksonville to try and set the edge and stop him that way.
Third and 7, they mark it inside the 25. Incomplete. Through the hands of Charles, and Kansas City will punt. Dwayne Grotz, the rookie cornerback from Connecticut, on the coverage, and the pressure coming from Jason Babin, guys, who today is playing against his old head coach, Andy Reid. And an injured Kansas City player on the field.
This play, as Alex Smith had to step out of the pocket, one of the big concerns for the Jaguars was, were they going to be able to manufacture quarterback pressure? Nobody in the last 5 years in the NFL has been a worse pass rushing team than Jacksonville, and you would think that was one of the things they had to get better at, and right there was a good sign for Gus Bradley.
Looks like Brandon Albert is the injured Kansas City player.
If there's one player an offense doesn't want to lose, it's his left tackle, and Albert gets rolled up on.
Looked like it was that right foot that got rolled up on a little bit there. They cannot afford to lose him at all.
Oh boy.
But as you said though, Steve, the big point for Jacksonville, only 20 sacks last year, worst in the NFL. And Jason Babin is the one guy, you look at that front, he's the one guy that has a history of being able to get to the quarterback.
There's Dustin Colbert. Punter, it's blocked into the end zone and through the back to the safety. And that is how Jacksonville starts its new season. J.T. Thomas on the block.
Well, Steve, you're the special teams expert here, Steve Tasker. What happened on this play?
It's a total blow. They leave him unblocked off the corner right at the seam. The Chiefs players are trying to get out to cover this kick. And I'll tell you what, Dustin Colquitt has no shot at getting this off. Absolutely no chance to get rid of it.
And I'll tell you what, that's the kind of play early in a game, especially early in the season, that gets a team believing that maybe they might have reason to be excited this year. They might have turned the corner.
Well, you talk to Gus Bradley, and we've all talked about how positive he is, and his philosophy is so infectious. He says it's going to be great until we get off to a slow start, and we're down a couple of touchdowns in our fourth, and we're having trouble winning games. Then where am I going to go? That's when the players start to look sideways and doubt, and they start to stand up in the huddle and wonder what's going on. When you get a start like that, it breeds faith, and faith wins ball games.
You think he's excited?
I
We
saw
had a
about
chance to talk
15.
to Gus Bradley. He walks into the room, guys, and he just knocks you over with his energy. It's unbelievable, unlike any coach that I've ever been around.
And I've already seen probably 30 fist pumps from him in the first 5 or 6 plays of this game. One of the things that the main aspect that he preaches to his team is just try to get better every day. If you get better every day, and we continue to do that throughout the course of the season, we'll get to where we want to get.
Oh, he's been preaching early, and so far his players have gotten the message. Mike Brown, Sanders back deep, and this is Sanders from inside his 5. Sanders coming of age under Steve Spurrier at South Carolina. Good-looking return, tackle made by Ron Parker. Another look at J.T. Thomas, the early heroics here in Jacksonville. 2-0 Jaguars on CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. Verizon. Never be without football with NFL Mobile from Verizon. And by Bud Light. It's the sure sign of a good time. Here we go.
Well, J.T. Thomas making his Jacksonville debut, introducing himself to these fans with Jacksonville's first safety since 2008. Blaine Gabbert back onto the field, 1st and 10 from the 26. This is Maurice Jones-Drew. And guys, what a year it's been. The 10-month rehab recovery process coming back from that Lisfranc foot injury. And he lines up today with the rest of the starters for Jacksonville.
And on the right side, you see the number 2 pick in the draft, Luke Joeckel. Great presence on the right side. Big expectations for him at right tackle.
What you got?
Jones-Drew lines up in the slot towards the bottom of your picture on 2nd and 10. Gabbert flushed out, sacked. Justin Houston, who many in Kansas City feel is poised for a monstrous season. They dump him for a loss of 14.
Well, he gets pressure from both edges. Houston and Tamba Hali come in off the corner. Gabbert sees it immediately and does the right thing to try and get away. The only thing he could have done better, Steve, was just chuck it right away.
Ball out of there, yeah.
Out of there.
And it looked like it was an overload off the right side. It didn't look like they had anybody to account for Justin Houston. It looked like Luke Joeckel had gotten tied up with the defensive end.
That's a great defensive scheme.
Houston, the Pro Bowl alternate a year ago. Gabbert on 3rd and 23. This is Justin Forsett. Basically missed the entire month of August. There's a question mark today with that turf toe injury, just trying to chew up a couple of yards. They pick up 6, and Jacksonville will punt.
Well, we spoke to Andy Reid yesterday, and we asked him about the similarities. We've talked a lot about his time in Philadelphia and what the similarities were. He said the thing that was the same about those two teams, the rebuild at Philly and the rebuild here in Kansas City, was that they had good players on defense, and we're getting a chance to see that in the early going here.
Dexter McCluster once again on the punt. Andrews kick fielded at the 40. McCluster has his seam up the sideline. Inside the 30 and forced out of bounds at about the 25-yard line. A return of 35 yards.
And I'll tell you the key on that right there, that play, it was a low punt by Josh Scobie, gave Dexter McCluster a lot of space to catch that ball and make a move.
Justin Houston doing work for Kansas City defensively. Timeout. Coming in 2 weeks to CBS, Toni Collette and Dylan McDermott star in the 15-episode thriller Hostages. Premieres Monday, September 23rd. Only CBS. Spiro Dita, Steve Tasker, Steve Berline, our entire CBS crew from Jacksonville. 2-0 Jaguars. Early safety. Off a block punt. This is 1st and 10. Alex Smith and company inside Jacksonville territory. It's complete to the tight end Anthony Fasano for a pickup of about 5. Now, guys, if Fasano catches that first pass on the opening play from scrimmage, this is a different start to this game. He was wide open up the sideline. And the ball eventually leads to that block punt.
The ball was well thrown by Alex Smith, you're right. And when he was talking to us yesterday in our meeting with him about Anthony Fasano, boy, he was excited. He really thinks that Anthony Fasano can be an elite tight end. They've already tried to go to him twice today.
Officially, they call it a 4-yard gain, so it's 2nd and 6. Jamal Charles lines up, split out wide to the bottom of your screen. Smith finds Charles inside the 10. First and goal, Kansas City, as Dwight Lowry with the touchdown-saving tackle.
And this is where a veteran quarter comes back into play. See that right there, 55. That is a linebacker for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Geno Hayes, when a quarterback sees a linebacker outside wide on a running back with the skill of Jamal Charles, you identify it and you attack it, just like Alex Smith did.
That's a great game planning, and great film study, and great awareness by Alex.
Smith. It's caught. Donnie Avery into the end zone. Touchdown. It was that second effort by Avery, and Kansas City has answered.
And Alex Smith, prior to being pulled in favor of Colin Kaepernick last year, was the most effective red zone quarterback in the league. Right there, Donnie Avery, a great addition as a free agent this year from the Indianapolis Colts. Makes a nice play after catching the ball, bounces off the attempted tackle, scores a touchdown. But Alex Smith, very quick, very decisive, and very accurate on that drive.
Yeah, the Chiefs did a nice job of bouncing back from that catastrophic punt block that cost them 2 points earlier in this quarter, and they came back, put a nice drive together, great punt return, got back in the saddle.
Well, special teams are a factor, aren't they?
Sometimes.
Ryan Suckup on for the point after. One of the big question marks for the Chiefs. Depth at wide receiver behind Dwayne Bowe, and what a start for Donnie Avery. Kansas City, absorbing that early push, has taken its first lead.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by McDonald's. I'm loving it. And by the 2013 Ford F-150 with EcoBoost.
St. John's River just off in the backdrop as we welcome you inside Everbank Stadium. Spiro Thetis, Steve Tasker, Steve Berline, 7-2 Kansas City after the 5-yard touchdown reception by Donnie Avery, who today makes his Kansas City Chiefs debut. Suck up from his own 35, and Burton muffs it through the back of the end zone. That's a touchback, and Jacksonville will have it at the 20. Guys, we go back to the touchdown thrown by Smith.
Well, watch this. Here's Donnie Avery right here, but Sean McGrath, the tight end, comes down inside. That causes a little bit of confusion on the Jacksonville Jaguars secondary. Donnie Avery just shoots out in the flat, and that little gap giving him just a chance to catch that football. And if you just stick your nose in there and don't wrap up a guy that knows how to run with the football, you're not going to make a tackle.
So how does Blaine Gabbert answer here? First and 10 from the 20. Maurice Jones-Drew lines up next to Gabbert. Flare pass to the rookie Sanders. Second reception, but he is going nowhere fast. Gang tackled by the Chiefs defense.
Yeah, the Chiefs defense is really jumping all over those short routes. They kind of get the feeling that Jacksonville is going to get the ball out of Gabbert's hands, particularly given the big pressure they put on him the last series and the series before. So if the Chiefs believe that the Jaguars think they can get pressure, they know the ball's going to come out quick, so they're attacking these short routes.
Well, Gabbert hasn't thrown an incompletion so far, 4 for 4, but they haven't been able to move the chains. This is Jones-Drew on a little delayed handoff play. Got past the original line of scrimmage for a minimal gain. There is the new defensive coordinator for Andy Reid in Kansas City, Bob Sutton, guys, who Andy told us yesterday tried to hire a couple of times when Sutton was with the Jets, where he spent his last 13 years.
And he's got that aggressive Rex Ryan, New York Jets mentality where they are constantly trying to put both mental and physical pressure on the offense. These players are really excited to play in this defense. It's been so different than what they've done in the past.
Another third and long situation. Gabbert from the gun. Blitz up the middle, pass deflected at the line. And once again, Jacksonville will punt. Pressure coming right up the gut by the linebacker, Derek Johnson.
Well, Dontari Poe is going to get up and get his big mitt on that, and that's exactly what you want to do. Force the quarterback to throw it before he's ready or in discomfort, and then knock it down at the other end. And pass defense starts at the quarterback, not at the defensive back.
And Derek Johnson, who put the pressure on Blaine Gabbert, told us yesterday that he loved it because he's going to be coming from everywhere. That time he came free, got the pressure on Blaine Gabbert.
Johnson, a Pro Bowler each of the last 2 years. This one takes a Jacksonville bounce off the foot of anger, and that's where Kansas City will take over a 47-yard punt. And now Alex Smith back onto the field when we come back. 7-2 Kansas City. 7-2 Kansas City. 7:38 to play in this first quarter. This is 1st and 10 from the 32. Charles up the gut. Past the 35, close to the 40. Charles, the 4th leading rusher in the NFL a season ago. That yards per carry of over 5 per rush. That time turns out 7.
And one of the things that Jamal Charles told us in our meeting yesterday, too, was that last year, even though he ran for over 1,500 yards, he did not feel like he was really 100% healthy. He's excited this year because now he knows that knee is going to hold up after that devastating injury a couple years back.
Brandon Albert, who left the game on that last possession for Kansas City, is back in at tackle. This time, Charles going nowhere, trying to run right as they dump him for a loss. Russell Allen, the outside linebacker, got there first. And look, these other guys, all-time greats. Adrian Peterson certainly on his way to a Hall of Fame career. But so far, guys, 6 years in, what a run it's been for Charles.
Yeah, if you don't follow football, take our word for it. This is a pretty elite group that he's sitting in the middle of. I mean, those are some names that are historic in the NFL, and he is at the top of all of them. Although he hasn't played as long as some of them did, he has really splashed his entire career. Really been a good player.
3rd and 3. Smith has his man. It's Avery for the first down across the 45 after a pickup of 6.
And his 3rd down accuracy, Alex Smith, again, we talked about it a little bit earlier. Number 2 in the league last year prior to being replaced. He's very, very accurate on these short throws. He identified where he thought was the best matchup. It's been Donnie Avery a couple times today. We haven't seen Dwayne Bowe get a ball thrown to him yet, but there'll be a time and place for that as well.
That was an NFL play right there. A tough, accurate throw and a tough, accurate getaway and catch, and they did it. They couldn't make that play 12 months ago.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Avery lines up at the bottom of your screen. This is 1st and 10. Smith out of the shotgun. It's batted off the hand, actually, of Charles, who tried to make a one-handed stab at it. And it will be 2nd down. Guys, one of the reasons why everyone thinks this will be a big turnaround is because the nucleus was there. The problem with this Kansas City team, as is the case with most mediocre bad teams in the league, you just didn't have a quarterback. And now they feel like Smith is their guy. This is 2nd and 10 as they spot it inside the 45. It's caught by Charles. Brought down by the cornerback, Alan Ball.
And I'll tell you, it's interesting, too, because you see Kansas City going no huddle, and almost every team in the league dabbles in it these days because you get such an advantage from it. You get your quarterback a longer pre-snap look, and Steve, you know how important that is when you're trying to sort through who guys are rushing and who they're not, but the tempo also gives you something.
It does, and it forces the defense to kind of tip their hand a little bit quicker as well, because you don't want to get that quick snap and cut you off guard.
3rd and 6 as they send Bowe in motion. Smith fakes left, incomplete over the middle, trying to find Avery. Coverage on the play by Mike Harris.
One of the things that happens in the no huddle, and Steve, you know this as well, but the important thing is to stay on the football field, because if you do go at a fast pace, your defense gets time to rest only if you stay on the field. Plus, the longer you stay on the field, it takes the air out of the pass rush, because those big, heavy guys down inside can't go in this 90-degree heat play after play after play, particularly at a fast pace.
Brutal heat down on the field. Temperatures, as we told you earlier, 94 degrees. This is an awfully short punt. And a fair catch signaled by Will Blackman at his own 20. 32-yard punt. 7-2 Kansas City on the opening Sunday of the NFL season. You're watching the NFL on CBS. A 4th offensive possession for the Jaguars, guys, still looking for their first down.
Yep. If there is one encouraging thing, no turnovers for Jacksonville yet, but they forced one with a blocked punt. That's like a turnover, and it got them some points.
This is 7-2 Kansas City. This is Blaine Gabbert, 1st and 10 from the 20. Maurice Jones-Drew trying to find any kind of space up the gut, but what a talented front seven that they have with this Kansas City defense behind Bob Sutton.
And now, as you see, Blaine Gabbert trying to get the troops rallied. They didn't make any substitutions, although they will offensively. If they do, the officials have to let the defense substitute as well. But Jacksonville going with 2 backs and a tight end and 2 wides.
This is 2nd and 9. That's Maurice Jones-Drew. Had a chance to visit with him on Friday, guys. We mentioned that 10-month rehab process earlier, and he admitted that there were times during that recovery process where he didn't know if he'd ever be able to get back to his usual elite form.
And that's the doubt that creeps in after any major surgery, especially if you're an aging running back like Maurice Jones-Drew, who has been an elite running back for several years. He does not know if he's going to get back to that form, but he feels like he's proven enough to himself to go out there and try and run as free as possible.
Jones-Drew gets a rest. Justin Forsett. This is 3rd and 7. Forsett out of the backfield, trying to get to the marker, and he's got it. Crosses the 30 before he's brought down by Kendrick Lewis. 8 yards, and finally Jacksonville moves the chains.
That's the first down for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Very well executed screen pass. Justin Forsett set that up perfectly. Faked like he was going to pick up the blitzer, let him slip by. Blaine Gabbert kept his composure, made a nice delivery over the top, and they get the first down.
1st and 10, they spotted from the 30. With a screen again to Forsett. Guys, already you can see the difference in play calling here. Last year, Gabbert, according to the numbers we had, threw 6 screen passes the entire year. Jed Fish saying they want more of the intermediate stuff to get the ball out of his hands.
And you can see here in the early going, Blaine Gabbert doing what Jed Fish told us he wanted him to do. You'll never go broke just taking the profit. Just check the ball down, get the ball out of your hands, and if anybody misses a tackle, our guys will make a big play.
And you saw the players and the men who have mentored Fish. Mike Shanahan, Steve Spurrier, Brian Billick, as Gabbert makes his first big mistake. It's intercepted by Brandon Flowers. Flowers still on his feet inside the 25 and finally goes down. Just as Jacksonville was starting to show some signs, Gabbert picked, and Flowers brings it back 30 yards.
You know what, Spiro? I don't know who to blame on this because Cecil Shorts was running like he wasn't even involved in the play, and Blaine Gabbert threw it like he was running a hook route.
That's right. This was a complete miscommunication. Blaine Gabbert expected Cecil Short to be right where he threw it, and Cecil Short was nowhere in the vicinity. And in that kind of play, you know this, Steve, if you got to let the ball go. Look here, Cecil Short is just running, and there's the ball. That's a complete miscommunication. Blaine Gabbert thought that was a different route than Cecil Shorts thought it was.
Now, it's impossible to know who's at fault for us. We don't know the play that was called, but those are the kind of plays that really eat away at a quarterback's confidence and a coach's confidence in a quarterback.
Shorts to break that year a season ago, just under 1,000 yards receiving. This is 1st and 10. Charles inside the 10. To the 5 and lunges to the 3. Jonathan Cyprien, the rookie safety, on a tackle. 18 yards for Charles. It's 1st and goal.
Well, you give the Kansas City Chiefs a short field 2 times in a row. That just really gives that offense an energy that they were not counting on. It gets them fired up. That was a great inside trap. It was kind of a sprint draw trap back to the left side. Very well executed up front and by Jamal Charles.
And that's why this running back Jamal Charles is really so good. Everybody gets in on. You see Donnie Avery pushing his man back into the end zone, but Jamal Charles is so good because they can run him between the tackles and to the edge of the defense and throw him the football, and any of those ways he's good enough to outrun anybody and break enough tackles to get to the end zone.
Well, next Sunday, the NFL on CBS throws down a huge doubleheader headlined by the big one, Manning versus Manning, Peyton and Eli getting together in New York. And then the other early games, Phillip Rivers and the Chargers taking on Mike Vick and the Philadelphia Eagles. All the fun starts with JP, Dan Shannon, Coach, and Boomer on the NFL Today, presented by Southwest Airlines. We are in Jacksonville, temperatures over 90 degrees on this opening Sunday of the new season. 7-2 Kansas City. Spiro Ditas, Steve Tasker, and Steve Berline. This is first and goal for the Chiefs. Smith, end zone, it's caught. Touchdown! What a catch! Up high, it's Junior Hemingway, the first-year player out of Michigan.
The way the Kansas City Chiefs broke the huddle on that play, I could tell they were excited about something. There was an urgency to get to the line. They shifted Jamal Charles up to the right wing position, and Alex Smith did a great job going through his progression because Junior Hemingway was actually the third guy in his read there. He was reading front side and came back. Junior Hemingway made a great catch.
And Alex Smith had no issues with pressure. He stood back there. It looked like he needed to move out. He stood tall in the pocket. Said, I'm throwing this football from this spot, and he stayed right where he was and made a perfect throw to the back of the end zone. Great protection up front.
You said no issues in protection for Alex Smith up front. If that's going to be a major issue for Jacksonville if they don't figure it out.
So the Gabbert pick comes back to haunt Jacksonville, that miscommunication with Cecil Shorts. And Alex Smith and Kansas City, after that early little special teams hiccup, in control 14-2.
And you could see Alex Smith going through his progression there like a robot, which is one of the things that maybe goes a little bit unnoticed. This is a very similar offense to what he ran in San Francisco, the West Coast offense. Andy Reid under Mike Holmgren in Green Bay was brought up in this system. That's what he believes in. That's what he runs. There are some little tweaks, but it's the same basic language that makes a big difference for a quarterback.
And it's all about rhythm as well. Alex Smith, you saw him go out. He kind of gave the fake to the front side and then came back and he released it immediately over the top of the end zone. Everything comes out on time, and the offensive line, when they can get that clock and they get into a rhythm, they know how long they have to hold them out. Alex Smith knows how much time he has, and the receivers feel it as well, and they look for the football on time. And that's the
through the end zone, and another touchback for Jacksonville as the Jaguars suddenly down a dozen here with 95 seconds remaining in this first quarter. Kansas City's defense, guys, has been the other big story.
Well, Bob Sutton has done a great job. This is what he's going to do. He's going to find a way to get guys free up front. That second play right there, you saw Tamba Ali lined up as a linebacker, getting a free rush on the passer, and then the interception by Blaine Gabbert right there. The miscommunication. This is the kind of defense that is designed to cause confusion and indecision, and they've done it so far today for sure.
First and 10, Gabbert to Jones. Drew running around in. Drew absorbing contact, also laying the hit himself. Derek Johnson on the tackle. And guys, this is a tough start for Blaine Gabbert, a guy who's been out, hasn't played since early August, that fractured a bone on the base of his right throwing hand, and we touched on at the top, and suddenly you're down by 12 points.
Yeah, and plus they came back into training camp. He played in the first preseason, then got hurt in that second one, and he had not played football in the game since November of last year, so he hasn't had very many snaps.
This is 2nd and 7. Gabbert incomplete. That's the tight end, Alan Reisner, who today makes his first NFL start for the injured Mercedes Lewis. Also no Justin Blackman for the first 4 games after that NFL suspension.
And this is a Jacksonville team that had the most drops in the NFL a year ago. Those are plays that do add up and make a difference, and it counts against the quarterbacks when you look at the stats afterwards. You got to make plays like that.
Yeah, those are the kind of things that a team stands up and once in a while says, who's going to give us a spark? Well, really, all you got to do is make the plays that are there to be made. Catch that ball, and you don't need the spark. You've got one.
Gabbert from the gun, 3rd and 7. Boy, had his man wide open. It was Sanders through his fingertips, and it's 4th down.
You know, this is that, and I'm sitting next to a quarterback. You played for 17 years, you know it. Blaine Gabbert's going to get a lot of boos for that. And he had 2 drops in consecutive plays and put the ball right on the money both plays, stood tall in the pocket, made the right decision, made a good throw, and he got betrayed once by a receiver miscommunication for an interception. And in the next 2 consecutive plays, they drop it.
And the first one was an easy catch. That right there would have been a tough catch for Ace Sanders, but it's the NFL. That ball was thrown. He should catch it, hit both hands. He's got to make the catch. That's a big play.
Markers all over the place, whistling that play dead. So a critical juncture early in this game for Jacksonville, down 14-2.
False start, number 90 of the kicking team. 5-yard penalty, remains 4th down.
You know, a series like we've just been talking about with Blaine Gabbert and the things that have been happening to him, that's the reason that Gus Bradley and the rest of the staff at the Jaguars, they wanted to see for themselves what Gabbert was. Everybody wanted to tell them why Blaine wasn't going to be able to do it. They went back and looked at the film, and there's enough in there to say, you know what, we think he may be able to. We're going to give him a chance to prove it.
And that was the first big decision that Bradley, in their first year, general manager David Caldwell had to make. Here they are now down 14-2 as McCluster signals for the fair catch, and boy, a mistake as they were going to get a huge bounce, but instead Kyle Knox, guys, touches it, and Kansas City will have it at their own 24. Could have been a lot worse, 57-yard punt.
Well, it's a common sense thing right there. You don't know where that ball is going to bounce, but there's a good chance you're going to get 5 to 10 more yards out of that ball. If it bounces back to you, you catch it. If it's going forward, let it go. That punter's going to be a little upset about that one. Yeah.
Well, it's opening day. Those juices are flowing. Sometimes they get the best of you. 1st and 10 inside the 25. Smith all day to throw, completes again across the 30-yard line. Out of the backfield, that's Anthony Sherman, the 30-year veteran from Connecticut. And that'll set up a 2nd and short after a pickup of 8.
That's just a job of just waiting and waiting and waiting, finally taking exactly what's there. He gave everybody a chance to get free and took what was there, and it turns into an 8-yard gain. That's why Alex Smith is the guy the Chiefs are going to use to get him back into prominence.
And Jacksonville, though, has got to find a way to not give him that time to stand back and survey the whole field.
Saw Smith's numbers. They keep it on the ground on 2nd and short. That's Jamal Charles. And one of the big question marks for this team was how they would use Charles in this pass-happy Andy Reid offense, but he has been active so far. Oh, the special teams mistake by Kyle Knox, giving Kansas City better field position than they were anticipating. End of 1. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Start of the 2nd quarter as we welcome you back to Jacksonville. 14-2 Chiefs. And Alex Smith and company on the field. 3rd and a short 2. As you take a look at the numbers so far, 15 minutes at the top of your screen. Smith a little pitch play. They go to Charles near side. He's around the end. He's got the 1st down and more. Close to midfield, a run out of bounds, and what a start it's been for Jamal Charles, guys. As I mentioned earlier, there was people that wondered where they would use him in the offense with Reid, kind of change things, go more of a pass-style offense, but they have utilized him so far all over the field.
Well, they're going to get the ball in number 25's hands. There's no doubt about that, and one of the biggest things for Gus Bradley's defense is that, as Steve Tasker said earlier in the game, they've got to protect the edge. That guy's the fastest, if not the fastest, one of the fastest players in the NFL. He will get to the edge. You've got to protect against it.
1st and 10, Smith's pass.
That's a backward pass.
It's a backward pass. It does go through out of bounds on the far side.
Yeah, that should be a loss of 5 or 6 yards.
They're marking it. Yeah, they're marking it at the 31-yard line. You'll see as Alex Smith looks for Charles out there, that ball goes backwards, and even if it goes straight sideways, it's ruled as a forward. But it's got to go backwards, and that looked backwards to me. Both of us.
It was backwards, and it was marked that way. And Jamal Charles, lucky that ball didn't bounce to stay in bounds because he didn't go chasing. That should be his first instinct.
So 2nd and 12 after a loss of 2. Smith, play action. He's going to keep it himself to the 40 and runs out of bounds after a nice decision by Smith, a pickup of 13 yards forced out by Hayes and Posluszny.
Well, for all the things that has been said about Alex Smith when he was at San Francisco, he can run. The problem is when you run, as he found out last year, sometimes you get hit. And then a hit on a run like that last year ended his season with a concussion, but that shows you the kind of speed he has to get. That was a big game and a good play.
Over the last couple years, 761 yards rushing for Alex Smith. That's the 5th leading rusher among quarterbacks in the NFL.
Some movement pre-snap.
False start.
Whistle again.
Number 74 offense. 5-yard penalty remains. Third down.
You know, that's really a sign of how the league has really changed. You got a straight drop-back passer, considered a drop-back passer like Alex Smith, and all of a sudden he's rushed for 700 yards. Now everybody's doing that, and they're teaching their quarterbacks to do it. And I think one reason you can speak to this is the protection they're afforded almost all over the field.
Well, I can't speak to mobility because I didn't have much of that myself at all, but protection for sure. It's a different game as far as how they protect the quarterbacks.
Third and 9 and another whistle blown.
Offense.
They didn't get it off.
Still third down.
Oh, I don't think Andy Reid likes that. I mean, they got that penalty marked off. They didn't seem to take too much time getting out of the huddle. I don't know if they didn't catch a reset of the play clock or not.
Yeah, it might have been a quick clock, yeah, for sure, because coming out of the penalty, there's really no excuse to get hit with a delay of game.
Well, you and I, you hang around it so much, you feel when you're taking a long time. That did not feel like a long time to me.
So 3rd and 4 turns into 3rd and 14.
Now 3 seconds on the play clock.
6th play of the drive for the Chiefs. Smith flushed out, evades the sack, incomplete, and the Chiefs will punt.
That's actually a pass right there. That's the first bad throw by Alex Smith. He wasn't under a lot of pressure once he broke the contain, but he actually did have a shot at Donnie Avery. When Donnie Avery comes back down, look at that. He's open right there on the sideline. That ball bounces. Alex Smith normally would make that throw even on the move because he is such a good athlete.
Yeah, that's tough to overcome. 3 penalties in one series to come back and get the first down. I mean, they couldn't get any rhythm because they were, you know, they kept taking 5-yard penalties.
Dustin Colquitt to punt, and Blackman signals for the fair catch inside the 20. Well, can't Blaine Gabbert get this Jacksonville offense in gear? They're down 14-2 early second. Spiro Ditas, Steve Tasker, Steve Berline, our entire CBS crew from Jacksonville. 14-2 as Blaine Gabbert back onto the field, 1st and 10 from inside the 20. Gabbert airing it out near side. It's caught by Shorts, and then it's loose, and now they say incomplete. Have to maintain the catch through the ground.
That's just a great play by one of the best corners in the NFL, Brandon Flowers. This ball really is caught by Cecil Shorts. But look at Brandon Flowers. I mean, they may call that a reception. Look at me. Like he had control of that and came down.
Yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with him challenging that if I'm Andy Reid. I don't know that he'd win it because it is very close, but that's supposed to be the catch.
There's a challenge flag out in the field now.
Yeah.
I think he's right on that. It looked very clear to me. We'll look at it again many times, but it looked like Shorts had possession of that ball.
And he had 2 feet on the ground and was trying to pull that ball away, and I think it was a forced fumble.
But the fumble wasn't until he hit the ground, it didn't look like to me. We'll see. That's what we have to find out.
Jacksonville is challenging the ruling on the field that the pass.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. The Home Depot. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot. And by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you've got to get DirecTV.
Well, we can't tell if it's a fumble.
We are in a review. Gus Bradley challenging that this catch by Shorts was a reception and then down by contact. The ruling on the field is incomplete pass.
It looks to me like he had the catch. The question is, when did that ball come out?
Gus Bradley throwing the red challenge flag just before that next play was about to start. First time that Bradley, of course, in this position at front line.
The ruling on the field is confirmed. It is a complete pass. Jacksonville will be charged a timeout and a challenge. Second down.
Well, I think what it was that the angles that were available did not show when that ball came out.
Yeah, but I thought he had it. Oh, look at this.
Denard Robinson into the game for the first time. A highly touted rookie from Michigan takes it on a wildcat play on 2nd and 10. Didn't see much of this package, guys, in the preseason, but Jed Fish saying that this will definitely be a big part of the offense come the regular season.
Well, you gotta find a way to use the guys on your team the best way you can. And Denard Robinson has so many things that he does so well. He's used to taking snaps under center and in the shotgun, and he can throw. He obviously can play as a running back, which he did in the preseason. And he's as fast as he needs to be. I mean, he can stretch a defense. So you got to find a way to use all of those skills in a way that it puts the defense in a hard place mentally.
Especially if your offense is struggling. I think you got to throw him out there. Let's see if he can get something going.
3rd and 9. Gabbert pressured as he throws. It's caught and then a fumble. Mike Brown makes the catch, coughs it up.
And now they're saying that's incomplete as well.
Incomplete. Boy, it appeared as though Brown had possession of it. And a huge break for Jacksonville.
It did look like he had possession of this ball. I mean, well,
I don't know. He never tucked it away.
It's hard to tell if he ever had clear possession. I don't know. That's one of those gray area. I don't think Andy Reid has got enough of a Kate now. He never had ball control of that ball. Yeah. Good call. Right call.
Excellent call.
Excellent look at it from the reverse side back of the end zone. Brian Anger to punt. Kick fielded by McCluster inside the 30. Little dance back maneuver across the 40 and tackled at the 43-yard line. A 52-yard punt from Anger and a 16-yard return. This week, don't miss the show that's in a league by itself with guys who take on all 32 teams and each other every week. James Brown, Phil Simms, Chris Collinsworth with the artistry of NFL films and the chemistry of the guys. Catch Inside the NFL Wednesday at 9, only on Showtime. Kansas City player being looked at is Dontari Poe. We talked about the Heat guys at the top. Temperature soaring above 90 degrees at kickoff. Don't have to worry about cramping, guys staying hydrated. 1st and 10. Charles, who has been all over the place early, across the 50. 9 yards, very close to another first down.
It is an issue, particularly for a team, well, like the Kansas City defense. Jacksonville going no huddle. Those big guys have got to stay in there. Dontari Poe, you saw on the bench a moment ago, weighs 346 pounds. That's what he's listed at. You got to know, those guys get hot.
But at the same time, he comes from a hot background in Tennessee, Memphis. But the problem is that Jacksonville hasn't kept him on the field long enough. They've only had a few drives that haven't been carried out.
Well, he's getting tired, but he's getting tired between series. You know, he has time to rest between series.
A 30-second timeout.
Andy Reid takes a second timeout with 10:26 to play in the second, and the Chiefs in front 14-2.
Well, let's talk about that, though. This Chiefs offense, what I've seen today, and we had a chance to watch the Kansas City Chiefs a couple times last year, this is a different looking offense, a totally different field. This is a team that scored 16 touchdowns on the year last year. There were 6 teams in the NFL that scored more points than the Chiefs have scored the last 2 years.
Now you look here at the numbers. I mean, 2 and 14, 149 rushing yards a game, 170 passing. They only scored 13 points a game. You can't win when you're doing just that much offensively.
And the other thing, they were minus 23 in the turnover ratio. That's about as bad as it gets.
And Matt Castle, Brady Quinn starting 8 games apiece a year ago, just so erratic in the quarterback position. Smith airing it out, finds McCluster inside the 30, 21 yards and a Chiefs first down.
Well, McCluster is a guy who Alex Smith told us he is so shocked at how polished a route runner he is. He thought he was like one of those kick returner kind of handoff guys, gimmick guys, but he is a really polished receiver with good hands. And Alex Smith, even though he hasn't been here that long, I think he trusts him.
I think so. He was very excited to talk about that to McCluster.
McCluster, the 14th man from Ole Miss. This is 1st and 10. As Charles barrels forward inside the 30, minimal gain after a tackle made by Mike Harris. Well, Dexter McCluster, year 4 in the NFL. Has never quite been maximized, guys, in this offense that can never quite figure out how to use them the last couple of years. But the confidence now is that Andy Reid will be the guy to finally unleash McCluster in this Chiefs offense. Avery in motion on 2nd and 9. This is Charles. Inside the 25. Brought down at about the 23 after a pickup of 4. It'll be 3rd and short.
As good as this offense has looked and efficient, the thing that has been missing from it is Dwayne Bowe. And we thought in our open this might be the year where he actually gets a chance to step up with all the extra help, plus a quarterback that can really pull the trigger. But Dwayne Bowe, who is a big-time, big-play receiver, has 0 targets, 0 catches.
Now that will not stay the same for sure. Dwayne Bowe will get some targets guaranteed, but right there, a big difference between 3rd and 10 and 3rd and 5. Good, strong completion there for Alex Smith.
Smith feeling the pressure's going to run it. He's got the first down, slides towards the 10. What a play by Smith. Nowhere to throw, and he picks up 10 with his legs.
Well, Steve Tasker, you talked about a little bit earlier. He's got that ability, and if you got 3rd and 5, he knows that in the back of his mind that if I don't see what I like, I have enough confidence in my feet. I can tuck it and pick up more.
And you see, he looks comfortable when he runs. He runs like an athlete. And a lot, present company accepted, not all of them do.
Cyrus Gray inside the 10. On 1st and 10, needing to get to the 4. Gray gives him 9, and it'll be 2nd and short. Jason Babin on the tackle. And right now, Gus Bradley's defense on its heels, down 14-2.
And the Chiefs continuing to make personnel changes. Andy Reid getting a lot of different combinations in, throwing a lot at this defense. And Alex Smith running it to perfection. I mean, as of now, here midway through the 2nd quarter of the season, Alex Smith is everything the Chiefs wanted him to be.
2nd and 1. Charles has the first down. Tackled at about the 3. And this Chiefs offense, guys, after that initial drive where they made a couple of mistakes, boy, they look good.
One of the things that doesn't get enough attention, Spiro, about Jamal Charles, everybody talks about the speed and the big plays on the outside, but right there, he showed how strong he is. And when we met with him yesterday, I've met with him several times in the past, you don't realize how big he is until you stand up next to him, look him in the eye. You're like, man, this guy's got a little power to him right there. He fought for that extra 2 yards to get the first down.
Charles, end zone touchdown. It is all Kansas City here in Jacksonville.
Well, the Chiefs, a lot of what the Chiefs supporters said all through the offseason, even during that 2-14 debacle last year, is listen, they've got some really good players. They've had some bad breaks. They didn't like the leadership. They had some poor quarterback play at times, and they turned the football over way too much. Well, it looks like all of those problems have been addressed.
Charles just 5 rushing touchdowns all of last season. Suckup bangs in the point after. It's 21-2 Chiefs. Jamal Charles nearly untouched. In for 6. Kansas City goes 57 yards, 8 plays. And another workmanlike drive. Jamal Charles, first rushing touchdown of the new season, and it's 21-2 Kansas City. Not the kind of start Jacksonville was expecting after that early safety. This is Stephen Burton from inside his own end zone. Won't get to the 20. So not great field position for Blaine Gabbert. Here's the touchdown.
Well, let's watch right here. That's Brandon Albert, Donald Stevenson, the backup left tackle, and Anthony Sherman right there. There's nothing major about what's going on here. They just powered. It's good old-fashioned football, but all of them know their assignments. Well, they make the blocks, and Jamal Charles walks in for the touchdown. Very well coached, very well executed, and the result is exactly what the Chiefs are hoping for.
Alpha, alpha, go!
First and 10, and line up just inside the 20. Gabbert goes play action, finds his man. That's the fullback, Fo'o. First time we've called his name today. 11 yards and a first down for Jacksonville. And you can hear the cheers, guys, from this crowd.
Well, they got the second first down of the game. This one is a little bit easier than the first one. Good play. Gabbert finally got a guy who will catch the football for him.
Here's Jones-Drew on first and 10. Guys, what have you seen from Jones-Drew? Obviously, you have to think it's going to take a couple of weeks for him to start to get comfortable and get himself going again.
Well, before that last carry, he only had 5 carries for 11 yards, 2.2 per carry. Nobody on this Jacksonville offense is good enough to do it alone. Even Maurice Jones-Drew, as good as he is, he needs help. He needs guys to catch the football from Gabbert so that the defense can play honest in the secondary, so that it'll open up the running game, and vice versa. He needs some success so Gabbert can continue to throw the football downfield.
Gabbert, 37, going nowhere. Tyson Jackson, 12-yard loss as the Jaguars going backwards.
When it rains, it pours. You see Tyson Jackson just shooting up the gap inside the tight end. Jed Fish and the Jacksonville Jaguars were counting on Tyson Jackson, following the ball fake away from him, trying to chase it down, but very well disciplined, this Bob Sutton defense. These guys are playing at a high level, especially for a team that hasn't had many reps in this system.
That's right.
They know their assignment.
And it's now starting to steamroll, too. You can tell it's starting to feel good to them, and they're getting confident, and they're not thinking, even if they make a mistake, they're going to be able to make the play.
Second time Gabbert has been sacked today as penalty markers fly.
Delay of game, offense, 5-yard penalty, still third down.
Guys, this is exactly the kind of nightmare start that Gus Bradley was trying to hope to avoid here. All the pressure on Blaine Gabbert's shoulders. This is not the start that he needed.
No, it's not, and I'll tell you, they're going to watch this film and they're going to see how close they really were to staying in this football game here in the first half. Drop passes, a blocked punt, one thing after another, small mistakes that have added up to a 19-point deficit.
Third 23, he's got Sanders. Needed to get to the 40. Sanders says he's still gone inside Kansas City territory. No signal yet.
We did not hear.
Play's going to stand. Everyone stopped. It was Lewis and Berry finally on the tackle.
We did not hear a whistle.
Well, what happened? He's got to go down his wrist or elbow. Now, there he is. He's down. They'll bring that back. Right there, his knee was down.
Definitely will.
Well, as it stands now, it's a 56-yard pass play.
And Andy Reid has already thrown the challenge flag, and for good reason. And you see, what happens is, and what he was thinking there, Ace Sanders, is if you go down and you land on
Kansas
someone,
City
you're not down.
Ruling on the field that the receiver was down by contact. Timeout.
And that's exactly right, Steve. These guys, and Ace Sanders, he's a pretty good athlete. He got it, made it look pretty convincing.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Bose, the official home audio sponsor of the NFL. And by the U.S. Postal Service. Schedule your free package pickup today.
We are in a review. Andy Reid challenging that last play. Ace Sanders, and the call on the field was that Sanders was not down. But this one,
obviously he is. His knee hit the ground on the rollover by Johnson.
Play eventually went for 56 yards. If they overturn it, it'll be 4th and 5.
After reviewing the play, the receiver's knee was down at the 35-yard line. The ball will be placed at the 35-yard line. It will be 4th down. Thank you.
And that's the kind of day it's been so far for the Jaguars.
And Jaguars fans were kind of hoping for something positive, but that just kind of took the wind out of this stadium one more time. No doubt it was the right call, but a great effort by Ace Sanders, who, by the way, we hear great things about. Everything you read, everything you hear people talking about Ace Sanders, that's the kind of stuff that he's been doing on a pretty regular basis.
And I think it says a lot about, after the suspension of Justin Blackmon, the starting wide receiver, that a rookie like A. Sanders, has looked good enough in training camp to be plugged in right away on opening day.
But don't think they don't miss the presence of Justin Blackman. Say what you want about him. He's a pretty darn good young receiver.
Sixth punt for Brian Anger. McCluster's going to field it from inside the 15, makes two guys miss. Boy, what an effort just to pick up a couple of yards across the 15 and brought down after a 51-yard punt. Well, coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report, we'll send you to New York. JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Cowher with all the latest NFL scores and highlights, plus a special preview of the U.S. Open Women's Final between Victoria Azarenka and Serena Williams, a rematch of last year's final. It's all coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. We are in Jacksonville.
Plenty of time for Alex Smith here. I think with the confidence that Andy Reid has in Alex Smith, I expect Kansas City to be pretty aggressive in this situation, trying to get more points on the board.
The Jaguars have not been able to generate much of a rush. As that went off the hands of Tasker, it'll be second down.
Man, you look at the last drive and how efficient they were. Dexter McCluster up the seam. Alex Smith taking off and getting a first down, and then of course it was finished off by Jamal Charles. Altogether he's had 13 touches in this first half, 3 receptions, 10 carries, but it's been all about him for the Kansas City offense, and really Alex Smith has just spread the football around.
And Donnie Avery's been a pleasant surprise too. A couple of catches, one for a touchdown. They're doing a good job of distributing very well.
Now this time they send Charles out to the bottom of your screen. Different formation, second and 10. Smith to Sherman. Bulldozes his way across the 20 and forced out of bounds by Posluszny.
Yeah. Fullbacks do one thing. They lead block, and once in a while they'll catch a pass.
In the flat.
You just hope, you know, they're coaches like Andy Reid and all these guys that are throwing. Fullbacks are a dying breed. Most teams carry one. Sometimes they have a tight end that can double his in, but man, you just hope they never do really go away. Just him catching that ball and trying to turn up the sideline with no frills running, man.
Chiefs will get one more here before the 2-minute warning. It's 3rd and 3. They find Bo. First time he's been targeted today. And that makes what we've seen, guys, even more impressive. And we talked about how thin they are at wide receiver. Who else would help Bo? But Smith has spread it around, and boy, they have looked good. 21-2 here late in the second.
And I would expect we'll see more of Dwayne Bowe as this game goes along. I think Andy Reid was making a concerted effort to try and establish this offense without Bowe. You look at Alex Smith's numbers, he's only thrown for 84 yards, but they've had the short field a couple times. He's been very accurate.
7 different receiver to catch a pass. That's Cyrus Gray on 1st and 10. Tackle made by Jeremy Mincy as we creep towards the 2-minute warning.
Yeah, it's a smart move to get Cyrus Gray in there, let Jamal Charles take this last series of the half, perhaps just let him sit over there and get some rest.
Well, it is a new era in Kansas City. Andy Reid and Alex Smith off and running. 21-2 as we hit the 2-minute warning. Two-minute warning here in Jacksonville. 21-2, Kansas City in control. 2nd and 11. This is Smith under center from the 30. Oh, nearly picked. That's the rookie Dwayne Gratz, who has had a incredible preseason, guys, starting as a rookie out of Connecticut.
Well, Gratz has got to make this play. This is a bad decision by Alex Smith. You know, Anthony Fasano did the right thing, settling down in that hole because he knew that Gratz was hanging outside. Alex Smith, that's the first bad decision he's made as we see Gratz hobbling off the field. But that should have been a big turnover for Jacksonville. Could have been exactly what they needed going into the half.
Gratz limps off the field. This is 3rd and 11. And Smith will have to burn their final timeout.
Kansas City, 3rd and final timeout.
With a minute 54 remaining in the second. We mentioned some of the players who aren't here today. Mercedes Lewis, the tight end, out with that calf injury. And also, guys, Justin Blackmon finally realized his potential after a slow start last year, suspended by the NFL 4 games, violating the league substance abuse program. And that is a huge loss for Jacksonville through week 4.
Well, he's a guy that had a great breakout first year. As the season got going, he just got better and better. The guy ended up having over 860 yards receiving last year, 5 touchdowns, and really became a go-to guy for this offense. Made a few mistakes, and that's obviously been the question about this kid since he came out of Oklahoma State, is can he keep himself out of trouble? This is just another challenge for him to overcome.
After the timeout, 3rd and 11. Smith completes to Bo, second reception for Bo. It was about 4 or 5 yards short, and Kansas City will punt. Jacksonville defender late to get to his feet. Looks like he's okay. That's Alan Ball, who's helped off the field. Another reminder, the Verizon Halftime Report from New York comes your way next. JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Cowher will be along. All the stories from around the league on this first Sunday of the new NFL season, plus a preview of a rematch of the U.S. Open Women's Final. Victoria Azarenka and Serena Williams coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report.
Well, Jacksonville needs to get something here. There's still time, minute 44. If they can get a decent return and get good field position here on this play, they have a chance to get something on the board and at least go in at halftime feeling good about that.
Dustin Colquitt, what a year he had last season. And this one's going to take a Kansas City bounce inside the 10. Does pop out to about the 18-yard line. 43-yard punt by Colquitt. And once again, Gabbert pinned inside his own 20. Well, tomorrow on Under the Dome, with only 2 episodes left, you don't want to miss a minute of the summer's #1 show. New episode tomorrow, 10/9 Central, only CBS.
Steve, I don't know about you here, Spiro, but what Gus Bradley's thinking here, you need something to spark you, but the way it's going right now, if you make a mistake backed up at your own end here, it's the kiss of death.
Yeah, you're going to end up sending your extra point defense on the field if you make a mistake down here.
1st and 10, they put Gabbert in the shotgun again, flushed out. Tama rushing him from the back. And Gabbert nowhere to throw downfield, runs out.
And that's about as good.
Pick up of 3.
Excuse me, Spiro. That was about as good as Blaine Gabbert could do on that play. The coverage is excellent all the way around the field. You see these guys trying to run through traffic, and Gabbert by that time has been flushed out, and nobody knows exactly how to get more separation. And Gabbert does the right thing.
Forget what a good athlete he is. He runs about a 4.5 40.
Gabbert incomplete on 2nd down. Guys, how impressed have you been both sides of the ball so far with Kansas City?
Well, they're playing with a lot of confidence. I mean, they really feel like they were a better team than they were a year ago. They've got 30 new faces on their roster, but they've got a lot of great players that are back in the secondary and in the front 7 for that defense. So they're playing with a lot of confidence because I think they've really enjoyed Bob Sutton's scheme and playing inside it.
And give credit to John Dorsey, the general manager, and Andy Reid, too, for the moves that they did make.
3rd and 7. Gabbert finds his man. It's Mike Brown. Out past the 30 and a much-needed 1st down after a pickup of 14.
And nobody needed that more than Blaine Gabbert. He had to make a tough throw right there. Big 3rd down conversion. You don't want to give Kansas City the ball back with over a minute to play. So that was a great job, the 3rd down conversion.
This will be a false start penalty on Jacksonville. So 55 seconds remaining. Now the officials are going to talk about it.
False start, number 75, offense, 5-yard penalty, still 1st down. By rule, under a minute with the game clock running requires a 10-second runoff. However, Jacksonville elected to take a timeout. Timeout Jacksonville. Their third and final team timeout.
It was well explained by the official. And the reason they do that is so somebody won't take an automatic or an intentional offside, so that they save time instead of yardage.
Jacksonville will burn QB. It returns at a special time tomorrow, 5 Eastern, only on CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports.
Well, you know, if you guys want to learn about the inside
How did I know
part
you
of
were going
football,
there?
you know, I'm just saying, you know, that's a pretty good show
Listen,
to watch.
the only time I want to trade with a quarterback is on payday.
We'll be watching tomorrow. Steve headed to New York. And a lot of games to talk about, of course, on his first Sunday of the NFL season. Dwayne Gratz, cornerback rookie for Jacksonville, a shin contusion. His return is questionable. Gabbard trying to thread the needle to Sanders. Jaguars wanted a penalty. Don't get one. It'll be 2nd and 15 coverage on the play by Sean Smith.
And Sean Smith, another one of those free agent acquisitions from Andy Reid, came over from Miami last year. Very, very good defensive position. And there was really nowhere for this ball to be thrown. If Blaine Gabbert made a little bit better throw, maybe high and behind Ace Sanders, he might have had a chance to make that play. But Ace Sanders is only 5'7". He's not going to be your best back shoulder option.
The target is small when you're trying to throw that back shoulder anyway.
Fake the give to Sanders. Gabbert just throws it into the turf. And now Jacksonville being booed by this hometown crowd. Pressure on the play by Mike Catapano, the rookie from Princeton.
And that's one of the things, too, that the Chiefs are doing well. They've been disciplined. You know, they're playing, you know, with reckless abandon. They're really chasing the ball down. They're pursuing. They're getting a lot of pressure, but they're also disciplined enough to recognize that screen pass and be all over Jones-Drew and not give Gabbert anywhere to throw it. They've stayed at home on the backside of bootlegs. They've really done everything correctly on defense, and that's why, as much as anything, that Jacksonville has struggled.
3rd and 15. Gabbert set. Dontari Poe, the 11th overall pick a year ago, getting there for Kansas City.
Doesn't it seem like at this point that Bob Sutton really has done a good job of keeping Jacksonville on their heels? They don't know what's coming. Right there, Dontari Poe just bull rushed the veteran Brad Meester straight back into Blaine Gabbert's lap. You see right there coming right at you. Gabbert couldn't really do anything about it, but it just seems as though Bob Sutton is not letting Jed Fish, the offensive coordinator, who, by the way, is his first game calling plays in the NFL. I really like him as an offensive coordinator, but he's also trying to figure out this personnel, trying to figure out what Kansas City's going to do. Tough position to be in.
And they're outmatched physically. That was a three-man rush, and a bull rush got right back to the quarterback.
And that's the end of the first half. Kansas City 21, Jacksonville 2. We'll be back with the Verizon halftime report after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Here in Jacksonville at halftime, all Chiefs 21-2 Kansas City as we get you ready for quarter number 3. Time now to take a look at the DirecTV Ultimate Picture Cam. Steve Tasker, Kansas City doing it early with defense.
Well, you see here the miscommunication between Blaine Gabbert and his receiver leads to the interception. Jamal Charles. It's all been set up by the defense's ability to keep the offense of the Jacksonville Jaguars off the field. Only 3 first downs the entire first half.
And the Jacksonville Jaguars have not crossed midfield today. They've only gotten 3 first downs. Really struggling right now, and we expect as this game goes along, they're going to try different ways to manufacture some offense. Maybe it's more Denard Robinson out there in the field. We only saw him for 1 play in the first half, but they've got to do something because Kansas City is in complete control of this game right now.
Spiro Ditas, Steve Tasker, Steve Berline. Do you agree with that? Is it Denard Robinson? What do they do here to shake things up in the second half?
The thing that's disconcerting, I think, if you're Jaguars fans, the fact that the big guys up front, both offensive line and defensive line, have dominated for Kansas City. They are saying what's going to happen. The last last series just before halftime, a 3-man rush. That bull rush gets all the way back to Blaine Gabbert. They're bringing different combinations. They're blitzing when they want. Plus, I think the thing you forget about the Chiefs, they got some guys in the back end of that defense that can cover people up. Nobody's getting separation at all.
Well, Kansas City got to Blaine Gabbert in that first half, sacked him 3 times. And as Steve Berline mentioned, no offense generated by Blaine Gabbert. They crossed midfield just once and 3 first downs over the first 30 minutes.
49 total yards, Spiro. That's not going to win you many football games. So Blaine Gabbert knows he's got his work cut out for him. Gus Bradley, everybody, they know they've got to pick it up in the second half for nothing else other than just to get these people thinking they're moving in the right direction.
Coming out. Kansas City to receive, and they will have it after the touchback, 1st and 10 from their own 20. The Alex Smith era in Kansas City off to a flying start, 21-2 guys. They had that early mistake with the safety on the block punt, but boy, Alex Smith has looked comfortable, and he looks like a guy who's been in this offense for a number of years.
Well, it's interesting because he's been in like 6 offenses in his 9-year career, so he knows what it is to start anew with a new offense, new coaching staff, and to learn a new offense. He has got experience in changes in his career.
And I'll tell you another thing that's very significant. This Chiefs team, absolute worst in the NFL last year in the red zone. Today they've been in the red zone 3 times, 3 touchdowns.
1st and 10, little trick play. Jamal Charles, misdirection. He's across the 30. And another Kansas City first down as Charles picks up 15 yards. Ball on the tackle, but another Kansas City first down.
It's a nice power run. You see it once again, the big lead. Anthony Sherman leading the way for Jamal Charles. Power backfield. They're going with some heavier people, putting the fullback in the old-fashioned way, although it is out of the shotgun formation. You can bet that they just decided, and they got the word from those big guys up front, we can handle these guys up front, let's run it.
And they've run that same play twice today, both times for big yards. That sprint draw to the right, cut it back to the left.
Here's Charles again. Boy, he has had all kinds of daylight close to the 45-yard line, right at the first down marker. Lowry and Allen on the tackle, and everything working right now for the Chiefs offense. Well, they have opened up those holes, and there is Eric Fisher, the 1st overall pick in last April's NFL draft. He missed a bunch of time, guys, in training camp, had a thumb injury, a shoulder issue that he had to work through, but boy, he's looked good so far here in his NFL debut.
Well, everybody on in the red helmets have looked really good today.
1st and 10, they send McCluster in motion. Smith, another completion. That is McCluster. Across the 50, a pickup of 6. And just nothing Jacksonville can do defensively to slow down Smith.
Well, and that's a very good point, Spiro, because I would expect some adjustments to be made this second half to come out and try and do something to keep Kansas City's offense off guard, try and disrupt their rhythm, create some kind of pressure on Alex Smith, generate a turnover. We're seeing them kind of line up the same way they did the first half, and that's what we thought they were going to do, line up a challenge on the outside, play up with the safeties, but keep it very vanilla, but it's not working. They got to try something else.
This is a Jacksonville defense that ranked 30th in the league last season in yards allowed. 2nd and 4, this is Charles. Brought down Jason Babbitt, now some pushing after the whistle.
And that's Brandon Albert, the big left tackle. He went after somebody for some reason.
That's the wrong place to pick a fight.
Listen, if you can do that when you're a left tackle. You can wade into the other bench if you're a left tackle, but you don't do it when you're a special teams player. I know that.
I know. You better be really big if you're going to do that.
But hey, I got to tell you, that's a good football team. If you think your guys got slided or somebody took a shot at one of your guys, say something about it. I mean, he didn't throw any punches. He gave a little 2-hand shiver. And you see there, that's what he was mad about. Jason Babin gave a little extra to Jamal Charles as he went down. Babin felt it too. I mean, he didn't even turn around and face Albert. It gets chippy when a score gets like this, 19 points apart. Tempers will flare.
Well, Babin playing for Andy Reid in Philadelphia had been swallowed up on the block by Albert. Obviously frustrated as he and Jacksonville down big early in the second half. Well, the top 2 picks in last April's NFL draft on the field today. Eric Fisher for Kansas City, Luke Jokel on the sidelines right now with Jacksonville. This is Charles nearly upended. Unable to get to the original line of scrimmage. Geno Hayes and Paul Posluszny coming hard for Jacksonville.
And Jamal Charles, looks like he stayed now, he's up.
Dangerous looking ball came right down on his helmet, and it looks like Charles is okay. We'll take an early timeout. 12-11 left, early third quarter.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. Chrysler, imported from Detroit. And by Bud Light, it's the sure sign of a good time. Here we go.
They're biting today in the St. Johns River. Just outside where we are, you see Everbank Stadium in the background. 4th and 1, so Jacksonville's defense able to hold on a 3rd and short play. We'll see if that can't spur on Blaine Gabbert and this Jacksonville offense.
By the way, that was a heck of a play by Geno Hayes and Paul Posluszny to come over and finish that off. I don't think anybody in the stadium expected Jacksonville, with the way things have gone, expected him to make that play right there.
Punt from Colquitt. End over end. Excellently placed inside the 15-yard line. What a play. 32-yard punt. Another look at Charles. Dangerous, scary play. You see him come down, guys, right on his helmet. Yeah. Charles able to get up, walk off on his own power with the help of a couple of teammates.
He's going to feel that tomorrow, I guarantee you. That's going to be a sore neck.
I mean, I get the opportunity with some of the other work I do to watch games from the sideline doing radio, and these guys tumble out of bounds. You can feel the ground shake. I mean, it's big. And for most of us, we're out of work for a week after that one play. And Jamal Charles has been through about 25 of those today.
I had a chance to visit with Charles yesterday. A soft-spoken guy, as you'll find in the NFL. This is Maurice Jones-Drew across the 20. Excellent pickup on 1st down, close to that marker. It'll be 2nd and short. Fantasy football fans, if you want to play with the best, there's still time to get started on the most awarded fantasy site. Sign up right now at cbssports.com/football. We are in Jacksonville. Spiro Ditas, Steve Tasker, Steve Berline.
That was the most well-run play of the day for Jacksonville right there. Good sharp play to start this drive off.
Gabbert on 1st and 10, airing it out. Has his man at Sanders. Big play inside Chiefs territory.
But I think they're going to bring it back.
There is a marker thrown. It's a 32-yard pass play, but a penalty marker way back just beyond the line of scrimmage.
Number 84 of the offense. 10-yard penalty remains 1st down.
Yeah, they ran a pick play.
Exactly. Cecil Shorts got called on the pick play to spring Ace Sanders down the sideline. You're going to see 84 right here. Watch, he's going to come inside and get in the way, and that's what frees up. And it was a minor, I mean, I've seen a lot worse than that not be called.
There's no question that's what they were supposed to do.
Yep.
But there are certain things the officials kind of say, well, if it's, if he makes the guy run around him,
they're not going to call it.
They're not going to call it. And there was
any contact.
And there was very little contact, but there was contact. That's the call.
Not saying it was an incorrect call, but a lot of times they might let that one go.
Cecil Shorts, who had that breakout year last season, still looking for his first catch. Gabbert on 1st and 20. That's incomplete. Sanders has been the guy that he has targeted most in this game. Again, keep in mind, no Mercedes Lewis for the Jaguars and no Justin Blackmon, who's suspended for the first 4 games.
I mean, you can speak to this better than I can, Steve, but that to me looked like Blaine Gabbert's just sick of being patient.
And I like it. I actually like that because we haven't seen him push the ball to the field very much, and every once in a while you want your quarterback to say, you know what, I'm going to make a play. And I don't care, maybe I have to force it in there, but you know what, it ain't working so far. Let's try and make something happen.
2nd and 20. Jones-Drew Just 24 yards over his first 7 carries.
And that's on a 2nd and 20. You give the ball to Maurice Jones-Drew in between the guards. I don't know that you're expecting to pick up 20 with that play. And you can hear the crowd kind of moan like they're questioning that play call as well.
You're hoping the defense might be caught off guard. You might get half of it back. But this Kansas City defense hasn't been caught off guard really at all today yet.
Oh, we mentioned Jed Fish, the first-year offensive coordinator for Gus Bradley here. Gabbert goes down for the 4th time today, and a 2nd sack by that man, Justin Houston, as he drops him for a 5-yard loss.
Yeah, Justin Houston was definitely the one coming with the pressure off the top of your screen there. 2nd man in, and then Mike Catapano was the 2nd guy to get there, maybe finish it up. But Justin Houston, Tom Bahali, one of the best tandems in the NFL off the edges.
Well, Bob Sutton, their Chiefs defensive coordinator, told us yesterday how excited he is to come in a new team and to work and inherit this kind of defensive personnel. What a game it's been for them so far. The cluster dances through would-be tacklers, brought down at about the 44 penalty marker, is back beyond the line of scrimmage. As it stands, a 49-yard punt.
During the kick, holding number 54 of the receiving team. 10-yard penalty, 1st down, timeout.
That's Desmond Moses, claimed off waivers from the Packers last week. Kansas City dominating Jacksonville. Now, with all eyes on Syria, Charlie Rose sits down with Syrian President Bashar al-Assad for an exclusive interview tomorrow morning only on CBS This Morning.
I don't know if I want to be sitting down with that guy.
9:27, that'll be must-see TV tomorrow. This is 1st and 10, the fullback Anthony Sherman, 2nd reception for him today. And Mike Harris, the cornerback, on the tackle. So a Kansas City team, guys, 2 wins last year, 2nd time in 5 years that they won just 2 games. Franchise that's been to the playoffs just 3 times in the last 10 years, but so much optimism. And if you're a Chiefs fan, obviously this is a Jacksonville team that is not expected to be very good. You have to be excited with what you've seen so far.
And you're doing it with people that you haven't, when you talk about the regular guys, Dwayne Bowe, where's he been? But that's good that they can do it without him. There he is.
2nd and 7, right on cue. Let's go across the 50. And a Kansas City 1st down, but Alex Smith playing with a command of this offense that has been awfully impressive.
Well, he's getting more and more comfortable in the pocket as it becomes more and more evident that Jacksonville cannot put pressure on him to force him to throw the ball before he wants to. He has not been hurried or sacked today, and when he has been felt some pressure, he's made the Jacksonville defense pay for it by running for 1st downs.
You got to wonder if and when Jacksonville's going to come with any pressure.
Well, that was one of the big concerns for Jacksonville and Gus Bradley, a team that was dead last in sacks last year. 5 fewer sacks than any other NFL team. Smith trying to find both. The officials say incomplete. And if you can't get to the quarterback in this league, guys, your defense is not going to be very good.
Well, it's obvious from that last play right there that Alex Smith couldn't complete what Jacksonville's doing. They just rushed 3 guys. Jacksonville brings their 3 down linemen. Everybody else drops into coverage. And I think that's their answer to Alex Smith having so much time. Well, let's just not give him anywhere to throw it to. And that time, it worked out well for Jacksonville. We'll see if they can continue that philosophy.
Bob Babbage coming over from Chicago. Gus Bradley's defensive coordinator.
Sorry, Spiro. Exact same lineup this time.
This is 2nd and 10. Here's the rookie Nile Davis out of Arkansas, their 3rd-round pick. And an electrifying preseason, returned a couple of kicks for touchdowns, including one guy's for 109 yards. Davis will get a blow. Jamal Charles trying to stay loose. Came down awkwardly on his head and neck early in the quarter.
And I think that's a smart move by Andy Reid to give him a rest. You got this game under control right now. Let Nile Davis get a little bit of work in there. See if this offense can keep moving and executing at a high level.
3rd and 6. Here comes Cyprian, the rookie safety, on a blitz, forcing Smith into the early throw. Incomplete, trying to find Fasano. So Jacksonville's defense holding for second straight possession, and the Jaguars will get it back.
That should end up being pretty encouraging to Gus Bradley and Bob Babbage defensive. That's about the first time that I can remember we've seen pressure off the edge with the safety, and it worked out pretty well.
Well, I like the fact that it was Cyprian because he can outrun Alex Smith. And you can't, if those defensive linemen or linebackers are trying to chase him, they won't get him. But Smith has to get rid of it. He can't outrun him to get the first down.
Colquitt's punt. It was fair caught by Will Blackman inside the 10. Boy, the battle of field position also being owned by Kansas City. Stay with us.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by State Farm. For auto, home, life, and banking, get to a better state. And by Pizza Hut. Make it great.
First and 10 out of the timeout. Blaine Gabbert again, tough field position. It's deflected and picked off. It's Brandon Flowers' second pick, and that one's in for 6. Well, did it hit the turf? It was bobbled, awkward angle from where we are as you get another look at it. And from that vantage point, it did hit the ground. And this one's going to be looked at again. Cecil Shorts still looking for his first catch, guys, the intended receiver.
All scoring plays are reviewed anyway. They're going to review this, and it'll be second down for Jacksonville.
And all turnovers as well.
And all turnovers. So that's both.
Yeah, so they got the double whammy. They got to look at it.
Well, Flowers had the interception in the first half. This one, you think, is coming back to Jacksonville under review. Third quarter.
After reviewing the play, the pass hit the ground. It is an incomplete pass. Please set the game clock to 7:01, and it's second down.
So as expected, that play coming back, and they'll take the 6 points off the board. Now, clearly from that angle, that pass hit the ground before Flowers got to it and ran it in. So Jacksonville gets it back. Jordan Todman into the game, the first-year runner from Connecticut. Second and 10. Todman on the draw play. So Jacksonville staying conservative on second down. It'll be third and long. Injury update, guys, on the Chiefs. Jamal Charles, a quad injury. Here he is walking into the Kansas City locker room. Try to get a further update. No word on whether he will return at this point. With Kansas City in control, 21-2 in front.
You know, you never speculate on an injury, but he was riding that bike. It must have been a quad tightened up on him. Hopefully it's nothing serious for Jamal Charles.
Jacksonville just 4 first downs all day. This is 3rd and 7. Gabbert nearly sacked again. He's going down. 5th time they've gotten to him. Eric Berry on the safety blitz. Dumps him for 5. Guys, you know, granted, Gabbert has missed a couple of throws, but it's so difficult to evaluate where this kid is when you can't protect him.
No question. You talk about how tough it's been for Jacksonville. They've had an average start of their own 18-yard line, so they've been backed up all day and now forced again to punt out of their own end zone.
That all plays into it all. I mean, when you're backed up in your own end, it's hard to get comfortable.
McCluster from his own 40. He's had a couple of nifty runbacks that time, wrapped up by Harris inside Jacksonville territory. 53-yard punt by Brian Anger, and a 12-yard return for McCluster.
You know, you talk about Blaine Gabbert and how difficult it's been for people to get a handle on how good he could be, particularly when you're sitting here in a game where he's been sacked 5 times. Pretty quick sacks as well, and I don't put most of those sacks I can't give to, put on his back. He's also had 4 or 5 drops in a day when he was at 1.9 for 19. So you put those 4 on, all of a sudden he's 13 for 19. That's not a bad day for a quarterback if you just pull those passes in.
Fantasy players keeping tabs on their guys around the league. Some of the early numbers from week 1. This is 1st and 10. It's Smith's pass from a cluster through his hands, incomplete. Also mentioned a couple of times, the absence of two key guys. Justin Blackmon, Gabbard's #1 receiver last year, and no Mercedes Lewis today, the tight end, out with that calf.
This also is the third time that I can think of, maybe even more, that Kansas City has started with the ball on the Jacksonville side of the 50. Jacksonville hasn't even gotten the ball across the 50-yard line today. Field position has been a big part of this game as well.
Well, it's a new season, but it feels very familiar, at least for Jacksonville. Second down pass batted down, nicely done by Will Blackmon. Decided late August, just days ago.
He plays this extremely well. Comes back, gets back into it. You see his Dwayne Bowe, big physical receiver. Blackmon kind of hangs in there after getting shucked off of the chuck, and he just plants his foot in the ground and jumps right back into that play. That was a nice play by Blackmon.
Very athletic maneuver, because you said Dwayne Bowe, one of the things that makes him so good is his physicality out there, and he just spun right out of it and found that football. Great play by Blackmon.
Blackmon out of the league last season, trying to work his way back from injuries. 3rd and 10. It's caught. That's Cyrus Gray getting to the 40. He's about 4 yards short of the marker after a pickup of 6. So Jacksonville's offense guys struggling to generate anything, but this defense now starting to do some things for Gus Bradley.
Well, it's been 3 times they forced the Chiefs to punt here in the second half, and a little bit of it could be the absence of Jamal Charles. Some of it might be the fact that they're in a hot day and they're up 19 points in the second half.
Maybe they're just letting that clock run a little bit, but the problem is the way it's been going so far, Suckup's probably going to pin him inside the 20-yard line again, and you got a long field to go. But at some point, you got to change field position yourself.
Colquitt's punt. We'll take a Jacksonville bounce. Finally, a break for the Jaguars as they'll get it off the touchback at the 20. Big one coming up next Saturday. The Home Depot SEC on CBS hits the field of running as Nick Saban's top-ranked 2-time defending champion Crimson Tide takes on a Heisman Trophy winner Johnny Manziel and the Aggies. All the fun begins with college football today. This was the big upset last season, 29-24, and the countdown is on next Saturday.
Nick Saban with a week off this week. I'll tell you what, I don't know who I'm going with on that one. I'm going to probably ride Nick Saban now.
A&M off to 2-0 after their victory yesterday.
You don't want any part of Alabama with a week off.
No, I don't think I've ever seen Johnny Manziel really get hit in a football game, but I would expect that's going to be a very high priority to Alabama next week.
He's going to have a big target so if he doesn't want to get hit.
Maurice Jones-Drew lines up in the backfield next to Gabbard. You see his numbers today, 9 carries for just 30 yards. 2nd and 5, Gabbard buried by Houston. 3rd sack for Justin Houston.
We talked a lot about these first-round draft picks, and there you see, working right there on the #2 pick in the draft, Luke Joeckel just can't get back deep enough. Houston just uses his speed and leverage. That's a good pass rush.
These guys, these great pass rushers in the NFL, they lick their chops because they know there's a learning curve. These young players, as good as they're going to be eventually, you want to get them early because you're going to pad your stats a little bit.
Tyson Jackson nearly lost his pants on that play. This is 3rd and 13. Gabbard over the middle. It's the tight end Allen Reisner, the second-year man from Iowa, making the start today. First time in his career for the injured Mercedes Lewis. 13 yards. But Jacksonville will have to punt. So Jacksonville still looking for their first points. Talked about all the offensive issues that they've had. 3:14 to play, guys. You start this day rejuvenated, full of confidence. Opening game of the new season, but boy, how quickly things can turn. This is what Gus Bradley talked about. You know, everyone's fired up in the preseason, going into week 1, but when things start to go against you, you find out what kind of team you have. And this is a young, inexperienced, unproven team that right now is getting worked by Kansas City.
Now, did Branch go out there without his helmet on that play? Did he not bring his helmet out there? Was that part of the deal, or was it? something happened during the course of the play. There he is.
Lost his helmet. Well, give him credit, keeping himself in the play.
Yeah, keeping his discipline, getting in on the tackle a little bit.
Yeah, that's dangerous.
Well, you know, Jacksonville on defense right now, but you have to wonder, I mean, you are so desperate on offense right now as Jacksonville Jaguars player, team, whatever you want to say. You keep thinking that maybe they're going to try something with Denard Robinson, get him involved somehow.
Again, Jamal Charles in the Kansas City locker room, and quad injury is what we've been told. McCluster with the catch inside Jaguars territory. 17 yards from Smith and a Chiefs first down.
A great catch and a great throw by Alex Smith. Watch the second crosser, the deep crosser is McCluster, and he gets lit up by Lowry.
And it was well played by Lowry, but the execution was right on. The ball was on time, on the money, and McCluster was fearless. Even though he's a little guy, he was fearless coming across the middle.
You see what McCluster has done today. 3 catches for over 40 yards. Here he comes in motion on 1st and 10. Smith looking for more. That's Niall Davis out of the backfield. Paul Posluszny on the tackle. And guys, we sat with Alex Smith yesterday, and he just seemed so at peace with where he is, how things ended in San Francisco, that tumultuous end. As quickly as he had figured it out and turned it around under Jim Harbaugh, it was over for him in San Francisco. But he could not be more excited about where he is with this new team and the personnel that he's got next to him.
Well, he knew his opportunity was going to come, but back in last February, he didn't know exactly where it was going to be. And he's very excited about the opportunity here in Kansas City.
2nd and 5, this is Davis. Smith said very quickly after that initial contact with Kansas City that this is where he belonged. Nearly 3 quarters into his first game, it appears to be a very wise decision.
Well, I can't imagine there being a better fit to fall into the Andy Reid system that he was already comfortable with, and with a great organization, with a great fan base that loves their football team and the hunger to get back on top. Great moves by John Dorsey and the rest of the personnel people. This is a fantastic opportunity for Alex Smith.
See how he has spread the football around. 18 completions to 9 different receivers. 3rd and 4. Screen pass to the tight end Posado, and he's got the first down. And that perfectly sums up the day so far. Geno Hayes could not bring him down before he got to the marker.
Well, Anthony Fasano is all of an NFL tight end, 6'4", 255 pounds. If you got 1 foot, he's going to drag you. And you can see him just stretch out 1 or 2 hops. He stretches out for the marker, and he gets the first down. And those little plays like that are the difference between a team that's got everything going on and a team that can't make something happen. As you see here today, the Chiefs have got it going on, and Jacksonville's trying to get back in it.
Good news for Kansas City. Jamal Charles back onto the field. Takes the give from Smith. And that will take us to the end of the 3rd quarter here in Jacksonville. No scoring in that 3rd period. All Kansas City 21-2. We'll return to Jacksonville after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. 21-2 Kansas City as we start the 4th quarter. Spiro Ditas, Steve Tasker, Steve Berline, our entire crew from Everbank Stadium. 2nd and 9, Alex Smith and company keeping it on the ground as they lead 21-2. Hi everyone, welcome inside our CBS booth. Spiro Ditas, Steve Tasker, Steve Berline. One team really struggling to generate anything in terms of Jacksonville, and for Andy Reid and Alex Smith, this is exactly the kind of start that they were looking for.
Well, both those guys came from other organizations thinking there was some talent in Kansas City, and there's no question they've struck some gold. They've got some really good players playing very well.
And on the other side, Jacksonville, you sit there and say, what can they do? Well, this is almost what was expected. And if you're a believer in Gus Bradley, you might have believed that maybe this first day you might have come out and put on a little bit better performance, but it just kind of validated what everybody knows. It's going to be a big, tough, long road to hoe for Gus Bradley and this Jaguars organization.
Well, first time they've gotten to Smith and they get there. Jason Babin, 56th sack of his career, and we talked about it. This the major area of concern for this defense, getting to the quarterback, something, guys, they did not do last season.
Well, this is just an effort sack. Babin really benefited from Andre Branch flushing Alex Smith out of the pocket. Babin comes off the backside, just kind of keeps pursuing and outruns Alex Smith to get the sack. But that's the first time we've seen some life out of that front four of Jacksonville.
Babin, the two-time Pro Bowler, year 10. Claimed off waivers from Philadelphia late last season. Will Blackman signals for the fair catch. Well, not too late to sign up and play NFL.com/fantasyfootball. Get the free mobile app and exclusive instant video highlights. Sign in and play for free at NFL.com/fantasy. Bright sunshine here in northern Florida. I said central earlier. Obviously my geography skill is not very good. Northern part of the state. What a gorgeous day. 94 degrees at kickoff. But unfortunately, it hasn't been the day that these fans were hoping for. Gabbard's pass on first down incomplete through the hands of Maurice Jones-Drew, the NFL's rushing champion 2 years ago. And this guy's really is the big story. The battlefield position dominated by the Chiefs.
Yeah, the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Chiefs last year had identical records of 2-14. But as you can see today, the Chiefs didn't have 2-14 talent. Jacksonville did. And now the Chiefs had turnover problems and some injury problems up front. And you fix those, and you look a lot different.
Here's Bernard Robinson, one of the few touches for him today. We saw them run a wildcat with Robinson out of the gun earlier. There is Jed Fish, first-time offensive coordinator at the NFL level. Last couple of years, guys, at the University of Miami, but this is the first time he's calling plays in the NFL.
You see the guys that have influenced him the most: Brian Billick, Mike Shanahan, Steve Spurrier. That's a pretty good resume of experience, coaches he's worked with. But any offensive person will tell you that if you get down and you keep getting pinned back in your own end zone, that's a tough hole to get out of, and no one's going to make any excuses. They got to do it themselves.
Chiefs coming on third down, intercepted. It's a pick six. Tamba Hali right in his breadbasket, and Kansas City builds on its lead.
Now that is a backbreaker for Blaine Gabbert, and we're going to see what he's made of here as he go along. And it's also going to be a real challenge because there's going to be a lot of people hollering for his head this week because of that play right there. Gus Bradley's going to have to really make a decision how he wants to handle that. But Blaine Gabbert, he knows it. He knows that that's inexcusable.
Now they got him too. I mean, they dropped Tamba Hali out into coverage. He's the top pass rusher, and they fooled him, no question. He turned that loose, and Tamba Hali's a good enough athlete to snatch it out of the air. But that is a quarterback mistake.
Need to give credit to Bob Sutton. What a great job he's done scheming today because the Jaguars have not gotten comfortable.
Tamba Hali, the interception return for a touchdown, and Blaine Gabbert's day goes from bad to worse. Second pick that he has thrown today, and it's 28 to Burton watches it sail through. Guys, what happened?
Well, I was pretty harsh on Gabbert right there. Well, I want you to watch Tamba Hali right there, the right tackle. Luke Jokel, the rookie, second pick in the draft out of Texas A&M. This is not the SEC anymore. His responsibility on that play is to get into Tamba Hali, get his hands down. Obviously, he did not do his job. Blaine Gabbert has got to be able to see that and react to it. But that was a mistake by the rookie. It was a technique mistake. He mentioned us. It's all technique at this level. He's 100% right. If you make a mistake, you pay the price in the NFL.
First and 10, Gabbert off target. Got Shorts on the hands, but off target with Shorts wide open.
Yeah, this ball has to be thrown up where you can grab. This is low and hard. He throws it out there fast, and for good reason. I mean, you got to get it out there as fast as you can, but you got to be more accurate with it. You got to throw it right into his chest and give the guy a chance to catch it hard with the pursuit bearing down on you. Even on those short passes, accuracy is paramount for a quarterback.
Second and 10, Maurice Jones-Drew up the gut. Good second down yardage as we send you to New York in an update with James Brown.
Rabbit's feet, try Luck's feet.
Well, if you have the Colts in your knockout pool, you can breathe a sigh of little relief right now. Andrew Luck's going to go 19 yards. He's going to give the Colts the lead here in the fourth quarter, 21-17. Terrell Pryor already over 100 yards rushing in this game. Good game in Indy.
5:20 left in regulation. Spiro, Steve, and Steve.
All right, guys, we'll be in Oakland next Sunday for the Raiders and the Jaguars. But Oakland giving them all they can handle there in Indy. And a tough spot by Terrell Pryor making the start on opening day.
Yeah, 100 yards rushing for Terrell Pryor, I'll tell you. I mean, when they made that decision, I was surprised. But considering the options, the way it's going out there, looks like it may be the right call. It might be the best fit for him.
This is 3rd and 2. But gives to Jones-Drew, needing to get to the 30. He's got it. Maurice Jones-Drew today, 11 rushes, just over 40 yards. Long run guys at 10. But obviously in a lot of passing situations, down big here in the 4th. Just the 5th first down for Jacksonville. Here's Gabbert, rolling down, will just throw it out of bounds. Guys, we touched on it at the top. No one expecting Jacksonville to be a playoff team or even compete. The #1 objective for this team this year is to figure out if Blaine Gabbert is their long-term quarterback. And you just have to get some better support around him. Obviously, Gabbert has to be better, but that really is the big decision that they need to make with Gus Bradley and their first-time general manager, David Caldwell.
Well, I think that one thing you look at, and you can make all the excuses you want. Blaine Gabbert knows excuses don't matter anymore. At some point, he's got to show some things that make you get excited about him. Today, I thought we were going to see some. Even though he's got the thumb issue, everything else, he's got to make some plays to illustrate why he belongs to be here as a quarterback.
Jones-Drew on 2nd down, going nowhere.
You can't make any more excuses. I mean, he is short-handed. He doesn't have the luxury of all the weapons and everything else, and the years in the system is maybe a lot of the quarterbacks in the league that are established. But the bottom line is, you got to do something to get people excited.
Gabbert came into the NFL 2 years ago, the 10th overall pick. Was only 21 years old. He's only 23 now, still younger than second-year guys Andrew Luck and Russell Wilson. But as Steve Berline just mentioned, he's really out of excuses at this point. Gabbert airs it out near side, 3rd and 9, incomplete. And he and Shorts just have had no chemistry today, as the Jaguars will punt yet again.
Well, the question comes down for Gabbert is this: is he the kind of quarterback that's going to be so good that he makes everybody else better? Or is he going to be a little bit like Alex Smith was in San Francisco for the first 6 or 7 years of his career?
That's a great point.
He's not that good, but he's not the problem either. And if you can sort through that, do you still stay with the guy knowing you've got other aspects of your team you really need to build up before you can win any games or be consistently good? And do you let the quarterback position sit and hope he gets better? But let's face it, Alex Smith went through 3 head coaches and all that other kind of stuff as well. So we have to sit and find out as questions continue to be answered here in Jacksonville.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Frost Brewed Coors Light, the game's most refreshing beer. FedEx. FedEx does more than shipping. FedEx, solutions that matter. And by CenturyLink, your link to what's next.
Loves you.
First and 10 out of the timeout. Alex Smith and company under center. We saw the Clown Convention taking place yesterday here at the Jacksonville Landing. Beautiful weekend for football, but the smiling faces are on the wrong sideline today if you're a Jaguars fan. Gus Bradley, first time he's taken the field as an NFL head coach. It has been all Kansas City behind that man, Andy Reid. 28-2, 10:20 to play, fourth quarter. On a day where the Jacksonville offense has been shut out to this point. 2nd and 7. Smith incomplete. Intended for Donnie Avery. Coverage on the play by Alan Ball. So the last time a team scored exactly 2 points in a game, you have to go back to December of 1993. A New England-Cincinnati game.
And guess what? Pittsburgh's right on the number 2 today as well.
That's right.
You look at the scores as they run across. Pittsburgh losing to Tennessee right now. They've only got 2 points in the game.
Three safeties across the NFL today. Pittsburgh here in Jacksonville. There's another one in New York. The Jets got a safety.
Strange things happen on opening day of the NFL. 3rd and 7. Smith was under pressure on the throw. Kind of scored it out a little too in front of McCluster. And one of the few times where Smith has been off today, 4th down.
Yeah, even so, he's still going to the right guy. You see there, just as he's trying to release it, and a little bit of pressure right there in his face is going to make that ball uncatchable, which is why pressure is such a big deal. Jacksonville continuing to just rush 4 or even 3 guys.
And that was Derek Marks right there on the hit. And this Jacksonville defense really has settled down in the second half. Maybe it's because Kansas City's pulled back the reins a little bit, but they have played much better. Their offense just hasn't been able to get any rhythm whatsoever.
Will Blackman runs out of real estate, and Jacksonville running out of time. A 57-yard bomb from Colquitt. Timeout. The fewest yards in a game for Jacksonville last September the 16th, 117. And they are just 70 at this point here. Gabbard on 1st and 10. Running for the first down across the 30, close to the 35-yard line.
When we spoke about how things went south for Jacksonville last year, you forget in opening day of last year, they lost 3 offensive linemen.
That's right.
In the first game. And then you've got Blaine Gabbert trying to prove himself as a quarterback behind those kind of offensive linemen. And you sense what happened here last year to give them the 2nd overall pick in the draft.
Jones drew short of the first down. Gabbert, of course, started the year as the starting quarterback. Steve underwent that forearm injury, ended this season prematurely. We just have not had much luck here over the last couple of seasons. This is 3rd and 2. Gabbert from the gun. That's Shorts. 55 receptions a year ago. Landon Flowers on the tackle. 8 yards and a first down.
And finally they connect right there. We've seen them off kilter all day today, but it's hard. It's a hard situation, and what Blaine Gabbert's got to do right now is just keep on working. Just keep on working, do the best you can, and you've got to keep the faith that it's going to work itself out.
See Gabbert's numbers today. This is 1st and 10 again. Finds Shorts. Shorts, a breakout player a year ago, was not even a starter for him on opening day. But that changed in a hurry. 9 yards that time. It'll be 2nd and short.
Yeah, Cecil Shorts, the last 9 games of last year, had 55 catches after that point. He really turned the corner.
And only one receiver in the NFL had a higher yards per catch average. That was Vincent Jackson. Cecil Shorts averaging 17.8 yards a catch. But back to Gabbert for a second as we look at the comparison. What better role model or example for him to follow than that guy right there? You talked about it earlier, Steve, what he went through earlier in his career. And Blaine Gabbert said when we met with him on Friday that, you know, he's a guy that kind of could be inspiring me because of what he's been through and where he's at now. I'd love to have that kind of success, you know, a few years from now if I get to that point.
First time that Jacksonville is in Chiefs territory today. At the 7-minute mark of the 4th quarter, that one incomplete. Quentin Demps, the safety on the coverage.
And you talk a little bit about what Alex Smith went through as a 49er, number 1 overall, number 1 pick, and then to be there and to struggle early with a bad football team, coaching change, new offense, another offense, new coaching change, and then to stick around there and then finally have Jim Harbaugh come in and finally get some players around him, and all of a sudden he was a pretty good quarterback.
One play for the Super Bowl.
7 different offensive coordinators that Smith worked with in 8 years in San Francisco. Hard to believe. And you mentioned the connection between he and Gabbert. They actually spent some time together at a little voluntary passing camp down in San Diego over the summer. Chase Daniel, who's the backup quarterback behind Smith, there's a college teammate of Gabbert. Both of them played in Missouri, so Chase invited Gabbert to join him and spent some time with Alex Smith, talked to him. Smith, very encouraging, telling him to stick with it, and said, look, a couple years ago, I was you. And it certainly worked out for him, and that's obviously the hope here with Gabbert.
Yeah, Drew Brees, one of the guys who was also down there working out and getting some things together. So those guys, you know, it's a different world now. These guys get together and kind of compare notes as to how things go with their organizations.
Gabbert, 3rd and 11, finds Shorts. So on a day where Cecil Shorts has been so good, now they say incomplete. He's targeted 3 times on that drive. There's Chase Daniel, whom Blaine Gabbert backed up for 1 season at Missouri in 2008. Before Gabbert stepped in there, 1 and 3 respectively on the all-time Missouri total offense list.
Looks like
2 guys that are very close still.
Sorry, Spear. Looks like Chase Daniel getting loosened up on the sideline, throwing some passes over. We may see him out here the rest of the game.
+2 Sigma's fair catch. Jacksonville unable to down it inside the 10. 50-yard punt, 28-2. Kansas City in front.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Nationwide Insurance. Nationwide is on your side. And by Subway. Any regular footlong is a $5 footlong at Subway. Hurry in this September. Subway, eat fresh.
Beautiful sunshiny day here on a Sunday afternoon in Jacksonville. 28-2. 6-minute mark of the 4th. Anthony Sherman has had his number called a couple of times today by Alex Smith. Paul Posluszny finally makes the tackle, but not before Sherman hits him for 26. And Alex Smith, now 20 of 33 guys, $173 and a couple of touchdowns.
Well, we've been talking about Alex Smith and how he relates to Blaine Gabbert. Steve Berline, you played 17 years at quarterback with a handful of teams. How long do you think it takes to evaluate a quarterback on a team when they're looking at a guy like Gabbert?
Well, I think this has got to be a make or break year for him. But I think when Gus Bradley made the decision to stick with Blaine Gabbert this year, it was a huge decision. But when they made that decision, they're saying, we're going to give this kid a chance to see if he can win us over. And you don't make a decision to end that after game 1. I think you got to give him at least half a season, see if he can work himself out of the hole. You get your weapons back, Mercedes Lewis, Justin Blackman. You get a little bit of rhythm with the coaching staff, with the offensive coordinator, Jed Fish, and you see what he can do as he puts a couple games back to back to back. You don't make a quick decision. You made the decision to commit to him for this year. You got to give him at least half a season to see what he can do.
Well, you have to think that Shahid Khan, who is in his 2nd year, Shahid Khan, second year of ownership here, is going to give this kid a chance. Second and 6 play, Bo is brought down right after the catch. As the new hierarchy here in Jacksonville put their heads together, made the decision to stick with Gabbert. There's Denard Robinson, the Michigan star. Haven't seen him much today, guys. You have to think that they're going to try to mix it up, get him involved here over the next couple of weeks.
Well, there was some rhetoric coming out of Jacksonville early on in training camp where they wanted to get him about 10 touches a game. And either with handing it off out of shotgun wildcat or with pass receptions. Haven't seen that today.
And one thing we did see on Friday at Jacksonville practice, we saw Denard Robinson involved because we see Alex Smith scramble to his left. Now he takes a slide short of the first down, but we saw Denard Robinson quite involved in that practice. He was involved, especially in the red zone. Now, granted, the Jaguars haven't been anywhere near the red zone today, so that's the problem, but he did look like he was going to be part of the game plan. He's only been out there for 1 snap today.
Robinson taken with the 5th round pick. The first 5 players Jacksonville took in the draft all are integral parts of what they're doing. In fact, the first 4 are all starters today. And Robinson, that 5th guy. As Justin Colquitt on to punt.
This is the 6th Kansas City punt of the second half and 6th possession. So, again, Jacksonville's defense looks like it settled down a little bit.
That one through the end zone and a touchback for Jacksonville.
Hey, baby, let's go out there like a bunch of crazy dogs. Have some fun.
I think that he's the best player in the league.
Wild, I wouldn't say wild.
The troubles continue for Lawrence Taylor.
The crime is not being knocked down. The crime is not getting up again.
The Life and Times, the story of Lawrence Taylor. It premieres Friday, September the 20th on Showtime, 8 Eastern Time. It is an amazing documentary on the trials and tribulations of one of the all-time great players in NFL history, and we are looking forward to that. Gabbard airing it out. Incomplete, intended for shorts. Guys, you both played against Lawrence Taylor for so many years. And we know all the issues that he had off the field. Most of it his fault, of course, but there's very few guys that have that kind of a story both on the field and off. And we're looking forward to that documentary.
Well, yeah, he lived life on both ends of the spectrum. He was an unbelievable player, maybe one of the best defensive, maybe the best defensive player of all time. And also off the field had an enormous life and a whole enormous world that he got caught up in off the world, but still an intriguing human being.
This is Gabbard on 2nd and 10. Improvising on that play finds the second-year tight end, Alan Reisner. Last couple of years with Minnesota. On the day he makes his first NFL start, 10 yards and a first down.
Now my thoughts on Lawrence Taylor, I made my way onto a couple of his football cards, so
yeah, we saw that.
Figured that out. I've had to sign a few of his cards, and that's not a good position to be in, trust me, but what an incredible football player he was.
Gabbard on 1st and 10 finds Todman out of the backfield as Jacksonville inches toward Kansas City territory. 14 yards and a first down. Brandon Flowers on the stop.
One last thing before I go away. Steve and I both spend a lot of our adult lives in locker room of NFL teams. You really can't hide who you are in there. And one of the litmus tests, and the acid test for a guy is, what do his teammates think about him? And I've never heard a single guy I know that played with him who didn't love him and respect him. So I think that says a lot about who he really is.
There's Todman again as we come up on the 2-minute warning, 28-2. As the Kansas City Chiefs headed to 1-0 on a day they have been dominant here in sunny Florida. Stay with us. Final 2 minutes from Jacksonville. Blaine Gabbard from the shotgun, 2nd and 12, 28-2. Kansas City. This is Justin Forsett, free agent signee, coming over from Houston in the offseason. Gus Bradley's Jaguars will avoid the dubious distinction of setting a new franchise low for total yards in a game. The record sits at 117. We set that last September. They get to 125 today. 3rd and 5, Forsett. Hard collision right at that first down marker. They move the chains, and it will be 1st and 10. Guys, we talked about Gus Bradley's approach. He's a high-energy guy. You see a lot of that at the collegiate level. And, to his credit, he said it yesterday when we met with him on Friday. It's easy to be that way when you're winning early in the year, but if you start losing, that's the test. Will these guys respond?
And it is going to be a challenge for him to keep his guys motivated and keep buying into a new and first-time head coach when things aren't going well.
Because energy and enthusiasm can only go so far. When you get to this level, and Gus Bradley knows it. He told us on Friday, hey, it's all easy and fine and dandy until we get to the point where we're struggling. You see Blaine Gabbard coming off the field there. Little ginger with that hand.
This would just be that's a fitting end to a frustrating day for Jacksonville. You hope that Gabbard is okay, kind of favoring that right arm. Hakeem Jordan, who played under Andy Reid in Philadelphia, and Hussein Abdullah. Just laying the wood on Gabbard, and looks like Gabbard is done for the day. Chad Henne will come in. Henne, who took over for Gabbard for the final 6 games last season. After Gabbard went down with that forearm injury, comes in here.
And you got to say, give Blaine Gabbert some credit too for toughing it out and trying to stick it. Because that is an injured thumb. That is not right yet. And he's been gutting it out. He deserves to get some credit for that.
Yeah, he does. And going back to how difficult it's going to be for Gus Bradley to keep his guys motivated, let's face it, he's not the first coach to have a slow start to a season. It's tough for any coach with any style, with any method of coaching when you've got a bunch of grown men who are struggling to win games and trying to keep them motivated. It's tough for any coach, let alone Gus Bradley.
So Henny under center, 60-year veteran out of Michigan. Originally a second-round pick for the Dolphins in 2008. Through the hands of Shorts, he's got it off the initial bobble inside the 10. So a chance for the Jaguars to just get on the board here. A 24-yard pass play.
Well, remember, it was not coincidental that Cecil Shorts and Chad Henne, when Cecil Shorts had his breakout numbers in that later part of last year, Chad Henne was the quarterback. So there is a little bit of a rapport between these two. And we're told that the injury to Blaine Gabbert is a laceration of some sort on the back of his hand. Hopefully that's accurate and it's not the thumb re-damaged.
So can Henne get him some points here? Denard Robinson into the game on 1st and goal from inside the 5. And it does not look like they get the play off in time. That'll be a delay of game penalty. Pete Morelli, our lead referee.
And we did see some of Denard Robinson in the red zone on Friday at practice. This is the kind of situation you got to remember. He's capable of doing a lot of different things in there. He's the former quarterback from Michigan. We'll see if that comes to play here.
Robinson stays on the field. We'll line up Henne in the shotgun on 1st and goal from the 8. Henne batted at the line of scrimmage, back into his hands. Henne just kind of throws it to the turf. Hussein Abdullah able to get his hands on it. And it will be 2nd and goal.
Smart play by Henne to bat that ball down.
Yeah, you don't want to catch it.
No, not you don't. If you're a quarterback, you don't want to be catching the ball. You don't want to be catching your own pass. It's not good.
Mark that down. That is bad. Yes.
59 seconds remaining. Jacksonville 2 timeouts. Henne from the shotgun, incomplete. So 2 more chances added here. And here Gus Bradley. Just want to get some points, guys. Jacksonville headed to Oakland next Sunday. A game that we'll have for you here on CBS. You don't want to be shut out offensively on the first day of the season, that's for sure.
You're right. That's a good point. As the head coach, you say, hey, give me something positive to talk about. And he'll go in that locker room afterwards and he'll say, guys, I'm proud of you. Competed to the end. We got those points at the end of the game. Didn't come out the way we wanted it to, but you guys kept fighting all the way to the end. We can build on that.
Jacksonville franchise that has not made the playoffs since 2007. Just 1 postseason win since 1999. Henne on 3rd and goal. Complete. It's Reisner. Still about 3, maybe 4 yards short. And this will be 4th and goal. And they'll take a timeout. They'll have 1 left.
So no doubt, there's no question that Gus Bradley's not going to be satisfied with a field goal here. They're going to try and get 7.
Yeah, I think the remaining fans would storm the field and if they went for a field goal right here.
Now, Kansas City from here will head back home. They'll take on Dallas next weekend. And guys, in terms of strength of schedule, Kansas City has the easiest opponent schedule through the first 6 weeks of the season, although they do have a couple of tough games coming up in the NFC East.
And also we saw that Tennessee today beat Pittsburgh, so Tennessee might be an improved team this year as well. This is a Kansas City Chiefs team that has not won a playoff game since 1993. They've obviously had some good teams, but I think the opportunity is kind of set for them to go out there and have a good, solid year.
litmus test is going to be in their division. What are they going to do when they play the Denver Broncos and Peyton Manning? That would be a great game to see.
Penny on 4th and goal. It's incomplete. And this Jacksonville offense, at least for the moment, putting up a bagel here on opening day of this 2013 season. 28-2 as Kansas City will take over. And you see there last time a team scored exactly 2 points, December the 12th, 1993. And this not the way that Gus Bradley envisioned this thing getting going here in Jacksonville. Bradley, that meteoric rise 7 years after Monty Kiffin and John Gruden brought him from North Dakota State University, his alma mater, to Tampa to be the Buccaneers defensive quality control coach. We'll have a lot to talk about with his players, but boy, you have to feel good for that man, guys. You know, maybe there's never been a head coach who has had a more difficult year than Andy Reid did last season. All the professional disappointments, 4 wins for Philly, that thing ending after 14 years, but of course even much more tragically the loss of his 29-year-old son, Garrett. And what a moment for Andy Reid as he and Alex Smith win it and go to 1-0 in a dominant victory here in Jacksonville. So the final score, Kansas City 28, Jacksonville 2. For Steve Berline, Steve Tasker, Spiro Ditas saying so long. We head you to New York.